It's finally beautiful outside, and I wanted to take the opportunity to give you a tour of the beginning of the season. So, this is my backyard garden, raised beds, and also I have a bunch of containers as well. But it's a mess, and I have to clean up. But this is what it looks like right now. So, this is the first time I've been in the garden. And as you see, there's a lot growing and there's a lot of dead stuff as well. As normally, I do not clean out my garden at the end of the season. I just let everything die naturally, and I harvest some seeds that I would like to save and share with my community. But let's see what's growing right now that you could also put in place in your garden so that you have food right away. Food is growing in my garden, even though this is my first time being in the garden. As you see here, this is sorrel. It's a leafy green. It's a herb. It has a lemony flavor. It's really good. It's perennial. I planted this in this garden bed, this 4x4 garden bed, by seeds about 4 years ago. Yes, about 4 years ago. And every year it comes back and I use it all over. Another thing that you could grow in your garden is chives. I had it many years ago in here. I like to border my gardens with herbs, especially perennial ones. So the chives is coming back. This I planted it a couple years back. There's also some oregano. As you see, this is the dry leaves, stems from last year, but down here, you're gonna see oregano is already growing. So already I could harvest some to use in my cooking. So we have in this garden bed, there is the sorrel, the chives, and oregano. Right over here, there's an onion that we forgot to harvest here. This is just green onions, but we could still harvest it. And then a lot of dead stuff. So I did not take out these plants, so I'm gonna pull them out now. And then also this is some pepper plants. So the peppers I did not harvest, but there are seeds in here that we could use to grow again in the garden. So I'm just going to taste test my first harvest of the garden this year. This is sorrel. It has a lemon flavor. You could use it in salads. You could use it in smoothies. It's high in vitamin C and is very nutritious for you. It was raining, so it already washed off whatever. There's nothing on there. It looked clean, so I ate it. But if you know that you want to be cautious, just make sure you give it a rinse before you eat it. It tastes delicious. It tastes like sorrel. The lemony flavor is right there. The young ones are very mild in the lemon flavor. But if you want it like really strong, let it grow a lot bigger. All right, let's go. So that's bed number one. It's a 4x4 garden bed. And then I connected it with a trellis here that I made with cattle panels to another 4x4. So in this garden, I did the same thing. I have the sorrel. So I just sprinkled the seeds on the edge and then it kept on moving. Now this has established well enough. It does give out babies, meaning like more smaller plants right here from that same plant over here. So it moves around. So I have more in here. And then we have more of the chives. As I told you, I like to line up my edges with herbs. So we have the chives here that are growing strong. More oregano here. And then last fall, late in the season in fall, I did plant some carrots. So it didn't come in time. So I left them here and now they're sprouting. So hopefully we'll have some carrots later on. Excuse me. So this is the 4x4 bed. I will have to clean it out and then we get this season growing. But so far today I could do a harvest and use most of this stuff. The chives, if you love chives, I love to save them, store it. I love to add them to any dish, but also when I preserve it or store it, I love to just chop it up and put it in a bottle or put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer so I could use it throughout the year. So I'm gonna start saving that. I'll share a video on how I do that. I do have a little container here also. It has more chives. As you see, I love chives. I love the flavor. So this was planted a couple of years ago and they come back every year. All right, so this bed needs some cleanup. I have a little container here that also have chives in here and then has some thyme. So all of these are coming back on its own. These are perennials that you could add in your garden and you don't have to do much. They just grow on their own. So this bed, we don't really have to do anything. It's going to continue to grow. It just rained, so it had its moisture already. All we have to do is harvest now. So these literally I could harvest. I could start harvesting them and preserving it for my dry time and also make some sauces and freeze them. I like to make some Jamaican jerk seasoning with this thyme. And again, with the chives, I love to just chop them up and freeze them. So far, this is 2 beds and 2 containers. Now here's another 4x4 here. As you see, this gigantic plant was once a small plant that you get from your garden center. This is sage, and this plant has been here about 5 years now. One time I was doing a herb class and I had leftover and I just put it in the corner, and now this thing has grown so much. I love sage, so I'm gonna harvest. I'm probably gonna divide it this year because it's really big and cut it back. But it has been growing for the last 5 years in the corner of this 4x4 bed. I do have here is cabbage from last year. I don't know if it's gonna continue to grow, but it's in here. And then everything else I'm just gonna clean up and then we're gonna plant it out to start growing. I do have this garden bed connected to another 4x4 here. And this actually just have all the wild stuff in there. Oh, no, it has some stuff here. In the other beds, we had the sorrel. This one, I have the red veined sorrel. I do have it in the other beds, but it looks like they didn't come back yet. So last year I just took a runner, and then just plant them in this bed, and look, they already coming back. It also have the lemony flavor. The tart is a little bit much more tart. You could use it in salads as well. You could use it like a spinach, but the difference, I think this is much more tart, and it also gives you a little red stain here. But it's great. It's great. Let's do a taste test. Again, it rained, so it looks clean to me. But if you're growing this in your garden, just make sure you wash before you eat. So it has a little bitter flavor added to it with the very strong tart. The other sorrel has like a delicate like lemon flavor. This one has a dark with bitter. So it's all good. It's both high in vitamin C, but flavorful. I believe the green sorrel is it's easier to eat and you could eat more as compared to the red vine is really heavy and with the flavor and bitter. So you might want to eat a little bit of that, but it adds beauty and color to your dishes and lots of nutrients. When it's bitter, it's good for you. All right, so those are my 4x4. I have 4 of them up against our house here, and then some scattered containers around that I love to just plant some herbs in it. Now we're gonna go down to the Tasty Harvest Show Garden here. This garden was installed in 2021 when I started my business, Tasty Harvest. And I just want to show you the sign. So we'll start with the raised beds here. But as you see, I have a lot going on in here. Okay, so the raised bed, I designed it to be like a potager style garden with 4 corners and 2 beds in the center. I do have my harvest table. I built it myself. Again, I am not an expert builder of stuff, so it did fall apart after 5 years of being in the garden. I'm gonna try to fix it up and put it back up because it was very useful when we harvest this big size table. We couldn't find anything like it anywhere. I didn't need it to be like perfect. All I needed to be standing and functionable. But we're gonna walk around it and then I'll show you everything that is in the garden here. So this bed is 2 by 8, I believe, right? So it's 2 by 10 and then 2 by 6. So it's 2 by, yeah. And which makes the space that I grow a lot of leafy greens. I also occasionally put some garlic, as you see. This is garlic right here. Another garlic over here. It's coming back. And some chives. You're gonna find chives all over my garden. I have this beautiful trellis here connected to the other corner. There's a lot of allium, so I like to put onions, I like to plant garlic all over. These are all volunteer plants and weeds that I did not honestly get to my garden to fill it up. So they overgrow and I let them be. So I'm gonna clean it up this year. These are green onions that I planted and then they came back. And more, I think these are chives, more chives in here. So we have a lot of cleaning to do. Behind me here, this is my triple perennial Powerhouse garden bed. I call it such because I have multiple things growing in here. So I have asparagus. Let me show you. I don't think it's growing yet because it's early, but it will be coming soon. This is actually the seeds of asparagus, the fur and the seeds. And you could save some. I did save some, but I'll harvest some of these. So these are the seeds in here. If I put them in here, they're gonna grow back again. It takes, I planted these actually from seeds. So I planted this asparagus from seeds and it took about 3 years before it was established and we could start harvesting. So as you see, look, it looks like asparagus, right? Yeah. So I'm just gonna throw the seeds in here. I also have some strawberries. So I started this garden bed actually with strawberries in here. So there's strawberry plants in here that will creep under. And then also I have 2 rhubarb plants in here and they're gonna also grow back soon. Once the temperature, as today is one of the warm days here after a long rain. It was raining the other day, rained a little bit this morning. I think everything is gonna start coming back soon. And we have, see, all the strawberry plants are happy. They're starting to come back. They're running all over the place. I'm just gonna harvest all these seeds to save, maybe just throw them back in here, but I'll probably save some also to share with the community. So this is one half of just the raised beds. I want to focus on the raised beds before I show you all the other garden that I have. This is the other half. As you see in this garden, there's a lot of herbs. So I have another variety of thyme in here. There's thyme right there. There's a lot of chives in the corners. More chives in here. This look like, let's see, this is carrots. So it's carrots from last year. More chives, some garlic, more chives. So there's a lot of food in here. I did plant some pollinators, plants like some flowers, and also some peppers in here. Like I said, I do not clean out the garden at the end because I'm so busy. And also I just want everything to naturally die in the garden. Especially, I do a little bit fall gardening, but not so much. This is the middle garden here. I had some onions one year. I had some garlic. Now there is some chives in here. So there's a chives and garlic in here growing. I'm probably going to add more onions, and I'm going to do some onions this year in there. This garden bed also is connected with a beautiful lattice trellis. We grew some beans last year, and like I said, it got cold so fast. I was so busy working on other gardens that I didn't really pay attention to my garden, and I just let it die naturally. We grew a lot of peppers, hot peppers in here. And then also, as you see, I have the chives again. Here, there's some chives and some green onions. So, this is the garden entirely, the show garden right here. But as you see, as I walk around, there's also a lot of containers. So I like to put a lot of containers around with some herbs. So this had some chamomile in it. I had them right here. I had more herbs over here. It had basil. So I had a line of basil in all these containers. In the front also, I like to line them up. So there's a variety of herbs here. I had some lemon balm. I had some fennel. I had, what else did we had over here? Let me see. Definitely had some basil in here. We had mint, different type of mint. And on this side is like all the other herbs that I really love in different varieties. So we had like peppermint in here. This at our local CSA was selling some marshmallow. So this is a marshmallow. It's Perennial. It's going to come back. I didn't really use it because I'm still learning how to use it. So definitely this year I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to share how I use it as well. But this line is all different perennial herbs. So we had the bronze fennel in here. They were all growing over here. Then we had the apple mint. So this is all apple mint right here. We have lavender over here. As you see, I didn't even harvest the lavender buds, but we'll do this year. And I had more. There was like some onions in here. No, garlic in here. We had chives. We had more basil. And then we had all different varieties. I have raspberry plant that I need to figure out where to put them. So I have 1 and 2. Before we had like raspberries naturally growing, the wild raspberries. And you could see them right here, naturally wild. We cut them all back. Wanted to clean out because it was very messy and stuff. And hopefully I get to garden back here soon. come up with a plan. But yeah, I like to put these grow bags all over. This is another sage. I like to put the grow bags all over in containers. I was growing some grapes. So this is a grape right here. Hopefully I could find a place over here. We didn't have natural or native grapes that were growing in this yard here, but at the time we didn't know. I didn't have the knowledge. So we cut them, and it was wild, so we didn't know. And it was all over the place with big trees and stuff, so we had to cut them all down and clean up. So I'm probably gonna put some grapes back here and cleaned up the space. And then as we're on the slope, the garden is shifting down a little bit. As you see, before it was not like that, but with time, and this garden is 5 years old and it's doing great. It's feeding my family little by little with whatever we harvest here. The corners, I created this barrel with this big lumber in there, and I attached the lights to it. And in the barrel, we grew different varieties of mint. So there is orange mint, and it's coming back again, as you see here. So I just need to clean it up a little bit. I do have a lot of containers here, so when I start planting the fruiting plants like tomatoes and stuff, I like to put extra in here. As you see, I have 4 of these barrel containers around, and they all have mint. But I want to clean it up a little bit. I don't know I'm not sure whether to have a fence here because there's a lot of pressure of pests that come through. We have any pests that you could think of, we got them. We got the deer, the fisher cats, we have the groundhogs. I think we even have beavers. We have the squirrels, chipmunks, they all here, everything, birds, the eagles, hawks, we have them, everyone is here. And they do use the garden. They do eat from the garden sometimes. Last year I installed this, I don't know if you could see it, but I installed this archway where I grow tomatoes. My family and my background, traditionally we eat a lot of tomatoes, making stews, soups, salads. So almost every dish, rice, everything is with tomatoes. So we could not grow enough. So I have this trellis arch, and then also I practice in-ground growing over here. As you see in the other space, I have the raised beds and containers. So I try to do all of them so that I could give you proper information with my experience in my garden. So I got to clean it up a little bit, and then we're going to be growing some herbs and some more tomatoes this year in this space. I want to expand it and probably add another patch over here. I do have along the fence, the first year my sons wanted to grow some potatoes, so French fries, so we call this the French fries bed. And I have grown multiple different things every year after year. So we'll put potatoes in here so that the boys could be able to harvest for French fries. But also I have grown some garlic, some onions. There's a lot of space. I decided, I was thinking, okay, because these woods are from our COVID garden, the first garden before we decided to turn everything into Tasty Harvest. So we just wanted to reuse it again in the garden. We just bought these pieces, these cinder block pieces, to make a straight line and add the soil that we use, but it was falling apart. So I decided to get these metal beds, and last fall I planted the most expensive spice, saffron. So I planted these guys, and the corms or the little bulbs, they will multiply. I was late in planting them because it got so cold very fast in the fall. But it looks like they're sprouting. I do not know if they will give me a harvest. I believe they normally give you a harvest. The flowers bloom in the fall. So I have this little round bed for that. Then I also planted some garlic in here. So I have a garlic in this one, another one with garlic, and another one with garlic. So my idea was to just renovate this space and put more raised beds like this and figure out, I don't know, the backside, maybe I'll just leave it as such and then just plant the potatoes or sweet potatoes over there and make sure that it's contained that way. But we have a lot of space. I could grow a lot more. I just need to be proactive and spend some time in learning and also teaching you how to do the same. If you have a yard, you could practice different type of gardening. You don't have to do everything that I'm doing here. Again, I started with one little container and then it became raised beds, very low raised beds. These raised beds that I have here are about 2 feet in height, but because of the slope, they look like they're shorter. You could even go 3 feet if you want, but you could just start with one garden at a time, one little space at a time, and then you keep on expanding if you have space. This is another trellis here that I have. So right next to the line of all the herbs, this was the first one that I did, but I did them in all grow bags. So in the grow bags, we're able to grow the tomatoes in here and other herbs. And we had a lot of tomatoes. Like I said, my family, we eat a lot of tomatoes. We used it a lot, and we also store it. Last year, I had the opportunity to learn how to can, and I canned a whole lot of tomato sauces and peppers. I made a lot of hot peppers, and hopefully planning to do the same this year as well, but also pay more attention and be intentional in growing more. We love cucumbers. Maybe I'll do half cucumbers, half tomatoes this year. The only problem that I've been facing, like I said, I have a lot of pressure of pests. They do come and eat my seedlings. So I'm going to try some new tricks and see if my cucumber seedlings will survive, and then we'll hopefully have cucumber plants. But yeah, my first year, my COVID garden, I was able to have tons of cucumbers. But once the pests around in the neighborhood, I guess they shared it with their friends. They never stopped coming to this yard. Once they located that there's a lot of food that's being grown here, they come, even though I relocated where the garden is. The garden used to be for the COVID one, it used to be up there, but we had to move it because it was in the way. There was nothing in our backyard then, so we moved it. And also, this is the south side of our house, and that's the north side. So it made sense to move it as I got a little bit more knowledge of growing food in my area here, and this was the best spot. So I hope you enjoyed this tour again. And also, I do have a lot of containers. Sorry. I do have a lot of containers. I put a lot of containers everywhere. So all of these are different herbs. I like to put leafy greens. They're all over. And we newly renovated our house, so I had to move stuff into containers because there was a lot of construction going, and I kept them. So I'm going to continue to grow in them with all the herbs, clean them up, and also save and preserve some herbs. And I'll teach you how to use some of these herbs in dishes, or how to even preserve them as well. But I have most of the popular herbs. One more thing I forgot, I do have this fruit tree is about maybe 15 years now. Oh, it's been over here. Truly, haven't really learned how to take care of it, but I know one thing, we haven't really pruned it. Squirrels, all the pests around, they do enjoy it. Sometimes we get some apples, most times we don't. Because once they look good, those pests come out. They come out and eat it before we get it. All right, but then also all around this apple tree, I do have a lot of herbs again. Like I said, I love to grow herbs. I do herb workshops, so if there's any leftovers, I just plant them in my garden. This is a garden bed that my son installed also 5 years ago. I believe the wood wasn't as thick, so it's bulging out. We're gonna relocate this, clean it up. Maybe we're just gonna use containers over here to grow. Yeah, but we had flowers in here one year. We do have some green onions, some garlic. So I'm just gonna take some time to clean it up. Again, probably I'll get some containers and maybe do container gardening over there because there's a lot of sun over there. But this is the garden. This is our garden. And expand more. If there's any experts out there and you have any expert suggestion on how I could use my slope, let me show you guys how I could use this slope. So I have a huge slope back here and a lot of room here. It looks sunny right now, but all these trees are gonna grow. They're gonna have some leaves, and then it's gonna be a lot shadier. Okay, but I still wanna grow something. I wanna grow some food. So if you have any ideas and how to keep the groundhogs away and whatever pests, anything that the pests would not want. But this is the garden. I need to do some cleaning. I'll make a video of cleaning the garden. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this tour of my garden. I'll catch you on the next one. Again, remember, one plant at a time. You got this.